we got news that Bradley Beal is finally a Phoenix Sun.
Mm,
All they did was give up Chris Paul and Landry Shamet
couple of seconds.
and a couple of seconds for Bradley Beal. So, when you saw this trade, what was your overall reaction, and what are your thoughts about Phoenix now that they have Beal on the team going forward?
I think my the way I felt about the Suns before and after are the exact same. I mean, you have Chris, you got the Devin Booker and the Kevin Durant's of the world. They're great scorers. This team doesn't have any depth. And before they traded him, they didn't have any depth. And that's great that they're gonna have three great elite scorers, but who's gonna play defense? Who's gonna stop Jokic? Who's gonna stop Steph even? Who's gonna stop LeBron? None of these guys. I mean, it's great that you guys are going to score 150 points a night, but if you're giving up 155, you're still going to lose that game. So honestly, I mean, I got to say for the Suns obviously won. I mean, they were about to cut Chris Paul for nothing, and Landry Shamet's easily replaceable. So the Suns absolutely won the trade. There's not a doubt about it. For the Wizards, what are you doing? You
Yeah.
basically traded Bradley Beal for Landry Shamet. So good luck to that. And the second round picks that'll amount to nothing. So for the Wizards, I give that grade an F. For the Suns, I give it like a B. I give B plus maybe. Um, but yeah, my opinions don't really change about the Suns. I still there's still a lot of question marks, and they really got to fill out that roster.
Yeah.
But they can't because of all the contracts they're paying.
Yeah. Who are you gonna? And they're like, oh, well, we can move DeAndre Ayton. Like, move DeAndre Ayton for who? Like,
Mm.
DeAndre Ayton pretty much tanked any value he still had left in the playoff run last year. And then you trade for Bradley Beal. Okay, we now have three guys that all do the same thing, slightly worse than the other: Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. And guess what? All of these players in their career and in the past have had elite teams, have been on pretty stacked teams, maybe except for Bradley Beal, but some of those Wizards teams were still pretty good. But Kevin Durant, okay passer. Devin Booker, probably the best passer, but I don't think he's good enough to run point for that team. And then Bradley Beal, again, pretty good passer, but not good enough to run point for that team. So now you have three guys that all do the same thing. The ball movement was a problem for the Suns in the playoffs. It was literally just Booker and KD doing your turn, my turn. But the argument will be now at least someone will be on each night, and then Kevin Durant or Booker, the other guy, will be able to come on and close for you in the fourth quarter. However, still, the Nuggets, you look at their title, all their star players did something different. Aaron Gordon, defense, rebound, can go out there and get you 20, 30 points on a given night when he needs to. Jokic, the big man, Jamal Murray can go out there, light you up. The Bucks, when they won their title, Middleton, ISO scorer, Holiday, defender, got everyone involved, could go out there, get you 30 and 10 when he needed to, and then Giannis, just an absolute force. And then the Warriors, Draymond, Clay, Steph, they all do something different. You can't build a team around three guys that all do the same thing that don't play defense. Bradley Beal was a really good defender 2 years ago. Devin Booker has no interest in playing defense when it comes to a closeout game. And then just the fact that the Suns have gotten blown out in closeout games the past 2 seasons, and then one of them they had a better roster than the Mavericks. And now to bring this all together is Frank freaking Vogel back into the fold. So I don't know. Three guys that all do the same thing. I think you can sign some pretty good players, but if I'm like a really good role player and I want to come off the bench, I want to go to Denver. I want to go to Golden State. I want to go to Boston, and I want to go to Miami. And I would even rather go the Lakers. You were even saying this. Like, if you're a role player, you'd rather go the Lakers than this team. So yeah, overall, just closing thoughts on this kind of disastrously good trade for the Suns.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it's going to end the same way it did this year.
Yeah.
But let me see how they fill out the roster because there's always those teams. You get the players like the Blake Griffins of the world who you're like, you know what? Let me go ring chase. Let me go join a team on a league minimum and see what happens.
Yeah.
Guy that's on the end of their career. This team I feel like is going to be a lot older than most teams, especially
Yeah.
when they do the league minimum. They don't have any picks to trade for because they all went to Brooklyn when they got Kevin Durant. So this will be a very interesting off season for the Suns and seeing how they fill out that team.
Yeah, and if they move DeAndre Ayton, because now you're playing 4 guys, what is it, like 160
170 million.
170, okay.
They have to trade DeAndre Ayton at this point, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world for them, but
Yeah,
who are you going to get back in return? He's probably going to go somewhere in the East. Maybe the Pacers, they were the guys that they had to match the offer for
yeah.
last year. See where that happened there. But like, who could they even get? Like, what trade would even work for them?
Yeah, exactly. So really be seeing how they feel at the bench. And I know some people, Colin Cowherd, he was saying like, "Oh, all these teams that won the finals never had a bench." And I was like, "Have you watched the finals the past few years?" Like, yeah, it's all about Jokic and Murray, but when they were struggling in game 4, neither one of them could get it going, and Jokic was in foul trouble. Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown stepped up. In
Mhm.
the finals, Jordan Poole off the bench when he was still feeling it as himself, and then Andrew Wiggins, not a bench player, but still a really good role player on that team. And then the Celtics bench, the Heat were basically carried by their bench,
Yeah.
and then the Bucks also had a really good bench when they were in the finals. So this idea that you don't need a bench and you can outscore everybody, I don't think there's been a finals team that could just go out there and outscore people, because even the Warriors and the Heat with LeBron, they could still lock you down on defense. The Spurs
Mm.
dynasty, like all of these dynasties are built around 2 really good players that are elite, and then you have incredible role players that all fall in perfectly to their role.
Yeah, like Warriors did the Sean Livingstons of the world. The Raptors, pretty much their whole team outside of Kawhi Leonard was a role player.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, how about even the Lakers, the Bubbles Lakers, when they had Dwight Howard and Rajon Rondo,
Yeah.
Alex Caruso. This year, Roy Hachimura, Austin Reeves, like every single serious playoff team always has at least a couple of players that come off the bench that make some noise for them.
Yeah.
Celtics,
Eddie House.
Eddie House, yep,
Yeah.
Sam Cassell, um, Glenn Big Baby Davis, like
Yeah.
everybody, every real title team has a couple of players, and the Suns team, they got a lot to figure out.
Yeah, I just don't like the culture of this team too. Like Kevin Durant, I feel like he's always been a perpetual underachiever. Bradley Beal, I felt like him and John Wall should have had no business losing to Avery Bradley, Isaiah Thomas, and Jared Sullinger and Kelly Olynyk. Like, if
Yeah.
you get knocked out by Kelly Olynyk, that reduces your credibility for me a little bit here.
Plus, that was the rebuilding Celtics too. That
Yeah.
wasn't like it was the Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, Marcus Smart era. That was just Isaiah Thomas and all the guys you mentioned before. Like that was a team where the Wizards should have absolutely beat them.
Yeah, for sure. And
Because then the Celtics got annihilated by, I believe, the Sixers after that.
no, they got no. That Celtics team lost to the Cavs in 5.
Yeah, the Cavs. Exactly.
But yeah, overall, I don't love it. I still think the Nuggets are a better team. I don't think they can stop them, and if the Warriors retool and get Cat, but I think they'll be a very fun and entertaining team. But I'm interested to see how all the chips fall there for the Suns, and then